There are so many ways that ChatGPT can help you in your PhD that do not involve it writing your thesis for you. There's so much chatter out there about people who are using it to cheat, and yes, there are people out there using it to cheat because they're not very smart. But you are smart, and you're going to use it ethically and effectively in ways that are going to save time and enable you to devote more energy to the stuff that only your marvellous brain can do. If we've not met, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I've spent the last 2 decades supporting master's students and PhD candidates to write amazing dissertations. In that time, there's been a lot of new tech, but by far the most transformative thing I have ever come across in the higher education space is AI in general and ChatGPT in particular. And when it comes to supporting PhD students, I'm one of those academics who, rather than being scared of AI and just hoping it goes away, I'm one of those people who look at it and say, okay, how can we use this ethically to help people supercharge their research? And oh my goodness, I have found so many ways in which it can help you as a PhD student. And in this video, I'm sharing 3 of them. So let's get started. Number 1, annual review paperwork. Oh, the annual review, the joys, right? Most PhD students have got to go through some kind of annual review process where they have to answer questions or write a paper or prepare a presentation that talks about the progress they've made in the last 12 months. So what have they done? How's it been going? What are they going to do in the next 12 months, etc. And it can be a real time sucker, working your way through loads of questions, trying to write more than a few sentences, coming up with something really compelling. Now, don't get me wrong, the annual review process is a helpful one, a useful one, and a necessary one. But let's be frank, the paperwork that you put in for your annual review, the stuff that you write for it, that's never going to get published anywhere, is it? It's not going to go into your thesis. It's not going to change the world in the same way that your research is going to change the world. So, whilst you need to do a thorough job of it, this is something that shouldn't be taking hours or days of your time. So use ChatGPT to help you with it. Let's have a look at how we can do that. So you might want to type in a command like this, in which you're telling it your topic and your title, the stage of research that you're at right now, and if this is available to you, you might want to copy and paste in some sections of what you wrote this time last year. And the more specific you get with ChatGPT, the better. So if you want to tell it your research aims and objectives and your research questions too, all the better. Tell it you've got an annual review coming up and let it know any specific questions you need to answer. Ask it what additional information it needs from you to draft responses to these questions, and away you go. Now, you're probably not going to want to copy word for word what ChatGPT has spat out there, and I'd encourage you not to do that. I'd encourage you to take a look at it and take some inspiration from it. It's something that is going to get you thinking. It might have thrown up some stuff that you hadn't thought about, you hadn't anticipated, that you can add to your annual review. So this is a way of getting you out of the starting blocks and halfway around the track. Okay, it's a useful thing just to get you going, because I don't know about you, but whenever I've got to do something like this, whenever I've got to reflect on progress and think forward, I sometimes get a bit of a mental block with it. So ChatGPT is really helpful in terms of helping you to zoom out and think about the bigger picture and answer the kind of questions that you're going to get asked in an annual review. Okay, next up, data collection. If your research involves asking questions through a questionnaire, a survey, interviews, focus groups, ChatGPT can be a really useful brainstorming tool. It can help you identify general themes or topics or even specific questions. You can use it at the beginning to start developing your questions, or you can use it later on to check that you haven't missed anything. So this simply involves, again, being super specific about your research like you were before. Typing in topic, title, aims, objectives, questions, who your participants are, etc., and asking it to help. Be really focused. Tell it what you want from it, like how many questions or how many themes you want it to develop, and let it work its magic. And while we're talking about questions, ChatGPT can be really useful for refining any existing questions that you already have. So if you've got a question that you think is a little bit clumsily worded, you can ask it for help with that too. Ask it to write the question out again in a way that is simpler, clearer, and a bit more relatable for a non-academic audience. And speaking of non-academic audiences, that brings me on to the third thing that our little AI buddy can be helpful for too, and that is writing for non-academic audiences. Now, we've all heard how important it is to get our research out there in the world so it reaches the people and the organisations and the communities who can benefit from it. We're told to write blogs and newspaper articles and talk to journalists. But because we've been writing academically for our PhD and for any other academic degrees we've done before our PhD, we might have fallen into the trap of writing in a way that isn't particularly relatable to people outside of our discipline or outside of universities. We tend to use jargon and academic language because we're told that's the academic style, that's how we have to write.
Blah, blah, blah! Blah, blah, blah!
We actually don't, but that's in a whole other video that I'll link to up here. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we tend to write in jargon and in technical terms, and sometimes we don't even realise that we're doing that because that's just how everybody else writes in our discipline. This is the kind of stuff that we're reading as well as the kind of stuff that we're writing. This is just how things are done. But when it comes to your research actually making a difference, you've got to convey it in a way that is suitable for people outside of the academy, outside of universities. And that needs to be communicated in a way that is not only easy to understand, but in a way that makes people interested in your research and makes people excited about your research. Yay! So that involves quite a significant change in tone and in language. Say you've got a paper that you've written about some of your findings, and you might have written this paper for an academic journal or for a conference or as part of your internal review. Now you want to turn this into a blog post that you might want to put out on social media or on LinkedIn or somewhere like that. How can ChatGPT help you? Let's take a look. So you might type in a command like this, asking it to create a 700-word blog post from your research paper. You're telling it who the blog post is for and what it should be focusing on. You're also telling it what your aims are, what you want to actually achieve by writing this blog post. And you're telling it a bit more about the tone of the blog post in terms of making that suitable for the audience that you're targeting. So ChatGPT will then generate a draft blog post for you, and it will give you some ideas about the things that you can do to make that blog post more relevant for that audience. So there you have 3 effective, ethical, time-saving ways in which ChatGPT can help with your PhD. I know about loads and loads of other ways in which ChatGPT can be helpful for your PhD too. So if you want more videos like this one, let me know in the comments. I'll be back soon with another video on navigating the messy and the magical of the PhD journey. I'll see you then.